Member from Cambridge.
Questions for the Energy Minister. Mr. Speaker, we know this is a difficult time for this minister. He's been deserted in the trenches, left fighting the Premier's battles all by himself. The Liberal Party has cut him loose. They know a fall guy when they see one. Mr. Speaker, the minister's entire professional career is on the line. For the sake of protecting the Premier and the Minister of Economic Development, he's risking it all. His legal career, his leadership build, and his credibility. Throughout this process, the Premier and the Liberal Party have repeatedly put themselves ahead of Ontario. They've been concerned with nothing but their own selfish political fortunes. So I ask the Minister, will you end this charade? Will you stand up for himself? Will you stand up for Ontario and table those documents immediately today?
Thank you very much, Speaker. And as I indicated in my previous answers, I was here when you made the ruling, and you heard lots of submissions and all the different issues and interests. They were presented to you. And so I won't go back into those. You made a ruling at the end of that. And in answer to questions which followed, I indicated that respectful of the ruling, thanked you for the ruling, and I would be complying with the ruling. Part of that was, these are not your words, I'm paraphrasing, was an encouragement to the House leaders to see if they could get together and have some discussions. I understand that they have had and are having some discussions. I'll turn the supplementaries over to my colleague to deal with those, but I simply indicated, as I indicated before, I'll be complying with the ruling.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Again to the Minister. Minister, it's painful watching you struggle to defend that which you know is simply indefensible. You know, I actually feel sorry for you. Speaker, it's unbecoming of the Minister of the Crown to rise in this House and to defend the inexcusable actions of the Premier and the Liberal Party.
Order.
Instead of focusing on his own leadership bid, the Minister is busy defending the leadership of a Premier who has failed this province enormously. The Minister surely feels he can do a better job. Why then, Speaker, is the Minister sacrificing himself to protect a legacy of scandal, of waste, and of self-opportunism?
Government House Leader.
House Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. What's painful is watching the opposition ignore your ruling. And let me quote, Mr. Speaker, from your ruling of that day. And what you did is you cited a passage from Speaker Milliken which you believed applied in this situation. I'd like to quote it for members. It seems to me that the issue before us is this. Is it possible to put into place a mechanism by which these documents could be made available to the House without compromising the security and confidentiality of the information they contain? In other words, is it possible for the two sides working together in the best interests of the Canadians they serve to devise a means where both their concerns are met? That is exactly what's happening, Mr. Speaker. The House leaders met last week for close to 2 hours. We will be meeting again today. And, Mr. Speaker, I have faith that the three of us coming together can find that spirit of cooperation that you called for in your ruling of 10 days ago.
Thank you. Final supplementary.
Pitiful.
Right back to the Minister of Energy, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, none of us on this side of the House blame the Minister for being disappointed or angry. We understand how hurt he must be by the betrayal of his closest colleagues. It must be difficult to watch your entire political career unravel before your eyes. While the Minister is here falling on the sword of the Premier and the Minister of Economic Development, his Cabinet colleagues like the Minister for Municipal Affairs are busy assembling their leadership campaigns. Speaker, we watch as the Energy Minister stands there struggling with the weight of 2 cancelled power plants on his shoulders. So I ask him, why won't you shrug? Why won't you stop being complicit on the destruction of your own integrity?
Mr. Speaker, again, we have respect for your ruling on this side of the House, and I'd remind the honourable member, let me quote again from your ruling, Mr. Speaker, and this is you speaking directly. I, too, have immense faith in the abilities of the honourable members of this House. I know that a solution can be found to this impasse. All sides need to exercise sobriety in this. Political fortune should not be the motive for eroding the supremacy of Parliament or ignoring the best interests of citizens in this province. Assiduous attention should be paid to dealing with matters such as this responsibly, Mr. Speaker. That is the approach that this side of the House is taking. I'm quite frankly disappointed that members of the opposition are not gathering behind their House Leader to look for a responsible and cooperative way to balance the interests that are at play in the release of these documents.
Thank you.